some of you may have figured it out from the stories I've been telling these past years, that my television is almost always on. Now, a lot of time, it's really just background noise. You know, when you live alone, you kind of, want to hear some sounds around you. And it watches me more than I watch it. But it's interesting because every now and again, maybe a rerun comes on and it just takes you back to a time, and you really pay attention and wait for that joke that you know is coming in some sitcom. This past week that happened, busy cleaning, and the television's going, and Will and Grace came on. And it was the episode where Jack, who some of you may know, is an aspiring entertainer, but has to work as a sales, sales person on the floor in Barney's New York department store. And Jack is told that his immediate boss has been fired. So now he'll be manager. Manager, he says in his very flamboyant way. And the person, to calm him down says, no, floor manager. He says, a two-word title, even better. Peter might not agree with Jack that the more words in a title, the better the job, the better the position. Because Peter, last week, was given the title Rock, the name Rock. It's more than just a job, it's an identity. It's not that you are going to be like a rock. You are the rock. And it's in response to Peter understanding in some way, to some degree, that Jesus is the Messiah. Not just a title, but an identity. But now Peter is moved from rock to stumbling block. And it comes with some rebuke. And Peter knows this. But the point is, Peter has not yet figured out the role, the identity of the Messiah. He has stopped Jesus, who has said, I must go to Jerusalem. I must go there, and I will suffer at the hands of some of the religious leaders. I will die, and I will be raised again. And that's not the job description of the Messiah as far as Peter is concerned. How can someone who has come to save and to lead and to lead and to reestablish a people of God suffer and die? And so he takes his job as the rock, and he decides to steer Jesus in the right way. Unfortunately, he does not fully understand neither Jesus' identity nor his own. But there is grace in our passage today, and I find it in the beginning sentence. Jesus began to show his disciples. You see, Jesus is not done with Peter. Peter is still being formed. Jesus is in the process of showing Peter not only who he is as a Savior, but who Peter is as disciple and as rock. And Peter will learn this. He will learn this even as he sees Jesus go to Jerusalem, as he follows Jesus there. He will see this as Jesus suffers and as Jesus dies, and he will certainly understand this when Jesus is raised from the dead. And Peter lives into his role as rock. And Peter becomes a leader within that early church, pulling the people together, spreading the good news, telling the stories of Jesus. We too, as followers, have a name and an identity, a job, a vocation. Because Jesus says, if any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. We are Jesus followers and cross bearers. And Jesus needs to show us what this means. We too are being formed. Jesus isn't done with us yet. We continue to grow into that job, that vocation, that title, that identity. We allow the Spirit to move in us and to teach us and to guide us along the way. We need to think of new ways, not to, like Peter, have a set idea of which way we are to go and who Jesus is in our lives and what Jesus is calling us to do. We have to be open. Open in prayer, open in conversation, open in the study of scriptures to hear what Jesus has to show us. And perhaps we too can be excited to know that we have a two-word title, Jesus follower or cross bearer, and live with delight in that call. Amen.
Amen.